Hey everybody, Fishy here with Fishy Review. Today I've got this Penguin Pro 275 filter. I want to show you how it works and all the accessories that go with it and how I'm going to try to use it to clean up a green tank. So I've been looking at this filter. I've already had it out of the box. It's actually not in the box, so don't need that. But what we've got is a filter here, and take a look inside. Take the lid off. I want to tell you all about what's inside, how it works, how to take care of it, and how to set it up, and what to do with all the accessories that they recommend, some of which don't come with it, but you can buy them extra. I will put links in the description below, so be sure to check that out. So what you've got inside the filter is, you've got a media pad in here, which when you get a new one, of course, you have to rinse this off. There's room for 2 in here, so you could put 2, and I'll show you what that would be like here. We've got this one, okay? You can put a second one in there, and you know, that's good if you want to be able to change one at a time and keep the biological stuff on that one. Or instead of doing 2 filters, this seems like it's in there crooked, you can also use this optional media cartridge that they sell. And all you got to do for that is you open it up, and you can see inside that there's these places to put media, and then you just close it back up and drop it in the filter. And that's a great place for carbon, zeolite, other things, and whatever will fit in there, okay? So this filter also has a bio wheel, which I like bio wheels. Bio wheels are nice, but they do tend to stop a lot. So what you want to do is make sure the filter is completely clean, so this is always turning. What this does is it's out in the open air and lets the bacteria get lots of oxygen so they can convert all that ammonia and nitrite into nitrate and support your tank. But you got to keep it moving, got to make sure it's always spinning, take a look at it periodically. And if you ever have any trouble with it, make sure to clean these spindles off on the ends and these little purple things in here that like the bearings where it rides in. Make sure those are clean, brush them out, whatever you have to do. They are removable if you want to really clean them or soak them in vinegar. The other thing about this filter has this intake section, okay, which is all sound dampened. There's this rubber ring here, okay, and that's meant to keep the vibration from transferring. There's also rubber rings where the motor connects. And this here intake thing has a dial for flow control. So at this position where the arrow is pointing towards the front of it, that's maximum flow. It's open all the way. If you turn it around, it's closed all the way. If you close it all the way, that wheel's probably not going to turn. So most of the time you don't want to keep it open unless you have it on a really small tank for the size of filter. Then who knows. But that one we set aside. Inside we have this media basket, which can take ceramic rings or their K2 media that they sell. You can put a bag in here and put the media in a bag so it's easily removed. That's another option that they have with this. But this just goes in here like this with the smaller end facing the back of the filter. Oh, also one thing with this here that I'll mention is if this filter is not kept clean, this will clog up really fast. If there's a really gunky tank that it's on, this will block off and the water will not get through here and over to where it needs to go, and the filter will stop running. So keep an eye on that too. Make sure you rinse this off. Put that back in there like that. Now the other part of this here is the motor. You need to know how to clean this. This just twists like this and it comes out. And you can take the bottom off. I didn't have this on here good. Okay, so the instructions say to remove the bottom, to find a place on here where there's a pry slot and pry it with a screwdriver. There's no pry slot on here. The instructions are crazy. Instructions are mostly good for the basics on this filter, but there's a few things where I'm just like, what the heck is this? So all you got to do to take this off is pop this sideways like that. And when it's brand new, it's a little harder, but after you've had it a couple times, it pops right off. Inside the impeller, watch this little black rubber cap here. This has to come off, and it's a little stiff, comes off. Don't lose it. I don't know if you can get a replacement or not without buying the whole impeller. I know some of the parts have been hard to come by lately, so be careful with this. Put that down. The impeller just pops out, okay? Make sure you clean this impeller off and use a brush off the fins, brush out the little hole where it was, go around the metal post. Put that back in there, put the rubber cap back on. If you don't have that rubber cap, I bet this thing makes a lot of noise, so make sure that's there. Pop this back on, get it on good on both sides. See that side too also? Squeeze a little bit and it goes right on, okay? Now, when you put it back on the filter, especially if you're in the tank and you're doing it, I've done this a few times, like I'll take it out in the tank, try to cheat without taking the whole filter off. Don't get it backwards, it won't go on. You'll fight it for a while. Make sure the minimum water level words are here, and of course, that's also important. That's where your tank level must be up to that minimum water level, or this isn't going to be happy. So we put that in there, and of course, this is a pump that goes inside the tank, and that's good because you don't have to prime the filter at all. You turn this on, it'll start running right away. It should start after power failure is a lot better than the traditional kind where the motor's on the back of the filter. So that's always a good thing. Just make sure when you put it on the tank that you're watching where the cord is and that it's not pinched. You know, fish this cord up into this channel, get it in there real good so that, because your tank's gonna be here, you don't want the tank pinching the cord. So next thing, you have the intake. Here's your intake. It has options, right? So you can take this and extend it, okay? You can remove this basket from the very end of this if you want, if you really have to get it short for some reason. The basket is actually a two-part thing. I recommend not taking it apart. It's, I don't like the way it's put together with the two pieces. As long as you don't mess with it too much, it's not gonna get loose and come apart, I think. But I don't like that, so I'm gonna leave that alone. It also has an upper level, mid-level intake where you can adjust how much it's taking from towards the top of the aquarium with this little slider here. And so what I'm going to do is put this on here like this, open that all the way, and then connect this right here. Okay, so that's what this looks like together. Obviously, I've got the lid off. I've got this out. Let's take off the intake so that it's not that much of the intake. Let's take that off so that it's not in our way. And put this in here. Get the cat hair out of there. All right, and then this would be like that, okay? So that's how it would be in your normal operation mode. You would put on the tank, plug it in, it would start running. Okay, put the lid on it, of course. Also, I will mention the lid has the right size C filters listed as the type of pads to put in here, so you can remember that. It's always inside the lid for you. Now, if you want to talk about the options on the filter, which the manual doesn't mention the options, the two that I'm going to talk about, the main ones here, the box shows it on the outside, but the actual instructions that come with it don't talk about these. So I think it's really important to show you guys what you could do with this filter. So first thing you can do is we can take and use, I'll show you that first. You take this foam block here with a hole in it. It's got two uses, okay? It comes in a box like this. The box shows you the uses of it, where you can put it inside the filter or on the intake of the filter. So you might want to put it on the inside of the filter as a biological sponge. So when you do that, you take this off, you take out this rubber ring, you don't need it for that. You take out the media basket, should do that over there. And you simply take this where the dial is, that end of it, and gently get it down in the sponge. Put that down in the filter, snap that in at the front, and now we have the biological sponge in there. So I don't know how well that works. I think it might clog easily. There's not going to be a lot of surface area with the way the water's going to run through the inside to the out. That kind of bugs me. But it would be a place to keep your good bacteria. It's an extra level of filtration. It may work well for you. So that's all you have to do to use it that way. If you don't want to use it that way, I'll take it out. I'll put this basket back in, put the ring back on here, the rubber ring, put that all back together. So if you didn't want to use it that way, you would put all that together. It's going to fight with me. Just like that. And you would take this and you would want to remove the extension tube completely from the intake. That's the best way that I've found. And put this in here just about an inch or so, a couple centimeters, right up to this first line is probably a good place. You want a lot of squishy open space in here to give lots of surface area for the water to come in. And then you would just connect this to here and watch the bio wheel roll away. And just like that. So now this is great for fry. And if you've got any small fish in your tank, maybe tiny shrimp that could easily get sucked in through that grate, this is really cool that they've made something that fits the filter properly. It's made for the filter, and you don't have to just go buy something or make something, which you could, but this is handy. It's nice. I like this for tanks. I use these on several of my tanks to keep things from being sucked into the filter. So your other option here is this Micron cartridge. Okay, it looks like this, comes in a box like this. The box says it's for a Penguin 275 or 375. Shows you on the box that it goes inside where we had the sponge, like that. And what you do to put that there is you take off this again, take the rubber ring off, take the media basket out, and you very carefully take this end with the dial and work it into this Micron cartridge. You have to get it just even, and then it goes in like that. Twist it. Make sure you don't twist the fins and rip them or anything like that. Otherwise, you got to throw this out. Put that in there like that, and that's it. Okay, so now it's ready to go. You would have to clean this after about a day on a really dirty tank. This is what I'm going to be using on the green tank that I'm planning to put this on, that I want to get all the green algae out of. That tank had a real bloom of algae in it. I got a few tanks. It's kind of contagious. Once you have it somewhere and you put a net from one tank to the other, stuff's going to spread. So I have it in 3 or 4 tanks right now, and it's really got to go. I can't even see the angelfish in that tank. Another note on the Micron filter I want to add here is how to clean it. There's instructions that come with the Micron filter. They're kind of goofy because it says how to install it, which is not right, really. It says step 1 should be deleted from these instructions on how to install. It says to remove it by popping out of the lock and all that. This doesn't exist. Step 2 is really the step 1 for removing the filter. Not a big deal there. And then also it says how to clean it, which is important because what you want to do, it says to soak it in 1 part of chlorine bleach and 9 parts of water, and then rinse it off real good. I think after you rinse it off, if it was me, I would want to put this in about a gallon of water with about 5 times the normal amount of dechlorinator in that gallon of water after it had been rinsed, and let it soak in that for a day, and then maybe let it dry for a day or 2. Really get all the chlorine out. That's, maybe you don't have to do all that much, but for me, that's how I'd be comfortable. So if you're gonna use this filter for tanks regularly, you're gonna want 2 or 3 of them ready to go so that they're all clean, and it takes time to clean them out and get them ready to reuse. They are very reusable, they're very cleanable, so just keep that in mind when you go to clean it. So that's really what there is to this filter, so let's give it a try. Before I do that, if you like this video, if you could hit that like button, it would really help out. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. You can find more videos like this in the future. And remember, I will put links in the description below for all the things I'm talking about here so you can find them and you can try them out yourself. You cannot see the angelfish in here. There are 2 adult breeding angelfish in this tank, but you can't see them. Where are you? Here, fishy, 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 fishy. Okay, we're gonna start this filter up. Silent start. Lots of activity in the tank, even though you can barely see it. Now, let's see what happens. Okay, everybody, a couple months has passed since I started making this video. I've been working on this tank with this filter. The Micron filter really didn't work. As you can see from that time lapse, nothing really changed after. That was a 2-day time lapse. Nothing changed. So it worked. There was just too much. It's not really algae, of course, it's phytoplankton, but to be specific, there's too much phytoplankton in the tank, and the filter worked. It plugged up, but eventually it popped off of the thing here. It just pops off. It blows off because there's too much pressure and back pressure because the filter's plugged up. So what we've got right now, you can see how this filter, the filter pad is obviously clogged up. And so some of it's still getting through the filter pad, and the rest is overflowing here, as this is the overflow for when that's plugged up so it doesn't go over the back, etc. And it still goes in the tank that way. So it's very plugged up, but since some is still going through it, and it's very, very fine particles now, and since it's plugged up, they're catching that. And the tank is actually losing a lot of its green. It's had a couple of like 90% water changes over time here. I've been feeding the fish very little. There's just these 2 adult angelfish in here and a couple snails, maybe a pleco. I don't even know. But it's working. It's getting better. I think another big water change, and then I put that Micron filter back on here, and this might be crystal clear. Right now the Micron filter is soaking. If you saw in the video where the bleach got poured on there, that just happened today. So maybe in a couple days I can use that filter again and try to finish this up the rest of the way, but we're making progress. So far, this filter has been doing great. I've had no problems with it. It's chugging along. It's a lot for this 20-gallon tank. So it's got quite a bit of filtration. You can see how much it's moving the water. For me, that's great. I like this much filtration in a 20-gallon tank. I'm happy with it. I just want to get this tank to clear up the rest of the way. Might have to put a UV clarifier on here to get that to go away the rest of the way, but we'll see. And since this whole process might go on for a few more weeks, I'm going to end this video here. Remember, everybody, keep it fishy and have fun. Thanks.